light. My name is Priestess Gorgeous. I'll be your oracle today, and I'm bringing you the angel messages kind of spread, briefing, check-in, update, semi-regular, and it's going to be somewhere between the dates of the 3rd through the 8th, sometimes 9th. That's okay. So it's loose because I get called to the table. And so I got called to the table. And the deck that we'll be using today is the Winged Spirits deck. I don't remember the author. Google the name if you want to, but I do know the name of the deck is Winged Spirits. And then we're going to be using the Cosmic Activation cards by Nadi Anastasia. Yes, just like it sounds, Anastasia. Anastasia. Okay, so we got a quick message. Let go, number 19. I like this deck, but you need to be kind of close up to see it. So let go. What am I getting? Well, I'm getting the great big expanse, and you know, coming into the physical is a death of a sense, because when you know something, when you come up against something, the fear, the wonder, the shock, the awe, the amazement of it is over. You know, by opening up the door and looking at the boogeyman in the face, whatever kind of feelings that it brings up are over, or they're beginning to come to an end. And you know, death is not an ending, and death is not physical. Consciousness is not incarnate. Pardon me, I know I just kind of made this sound a little weird there. Pardon me. Let's fix that. Oopsie. Anyways, let's get into this. We'll come back down to the ground, gorgeous. Get these messages out here. And I don't call out the cards because I don't want to, and it's 16 cards. It's a lot to call out. But down here on the ground, our persona is that of pins and needles. This is when you're in negativity, okay? 9 of Swords. When you're in negativity, you know, on a less mundane sense, to get back to my esoteric place of orientation, this is oftentimes when a person has a lot of external events happening at them, at least in the consciousness perspective of the person. And this is the position of persona. So really that's the astral body, where you're sitting in terms of your soul's consciousness that cause a lot of negative experience to you. And oftentimes that's when you're living life from the position of the wounding. You're not embodied, you're not in control of how you tend to perceive the world, how you tend to engage with the world. And we do have the guidance of letting go. So move into yourself, your actual self, your spiritual self, the self that is in control of the emotions. And I'm talking about the astral body, and then we have someone who fully is mastered in their astral body. So the astral body is your dream body, is the part of you that can manifest from the emotional base, or can manifest from, you know, when you think something and you can imagine it in that same time, in that little conversation that you have with yourself of like envisioning a bigger, brighter, better future, and then having that part of you actually act or reach out to that bigger, brighter, better. You know, I'm thinking of the example of you're going to work every day, you don't really quite agree with the work that you're doing, you don't quite like your job, but there's a part of you that is invested in what can come out of that. You know, I'm using job as an example, the person, place, or thing. It might not be the money, it might not be paying the bills, and it might be putting food in your children's mouth, but there's something that you figure you can create for yourself when you're engaging in those things. There's a little bit of a disconnect between who you are today and where you can be tomorrow. But the process of filling the gap, of the difference between today and tomorrow, and the everyday mechanisms, the means, the mechanisms, the methodologies of getting from here to there, that's that astral body that it's speaking to me, at least right now. And yeah, So the mind has a divine partnership to the future, and the future is about the knowledge that the dreams, the hopes, the wishes can be attained. It's possible, possibility. A lot of energy running through me right now. So I'm going to take a moment for myself here and just kind of come back down to earth. Left the body there for a second. It does help the messages, but it doesn't quite help us speak layman's. So let me just reel it in for a sec. We did temple cleaning today, so things are a little bit unorganized or out of place. Okay, so let's get in here, see what up. So this is about the spiritual self, okay? The self that is embodied as a part of the soul group. And really it's all about the facet of ourselves that's creating this is the mind, but it's the mind in when it takes actions. But this is reactivity here. Now, we do have the possibility of going on a journey and creating something, okay? But we're gonna have to face something. There's something to face up to. So let me do a little math. We have 9, 10, 17, minus the 9, minus 11. So there's we have another 10 here, okay. 19, 26, 27, minus 11, so that's 16. Yeah, so standing in the power, it's spiritual power, okay? And standing in your power in the sense of being able to break out, break free, walk away, rise up, rise above, stand up to, stand against the mind and the Ooga Boogie Boogeyman that the mind creates. I mean, we do have the devil here in the position of the tower, or it's not always the tower. It's where you would need strength, either to utilize your own strength or to understand what the adversarial energy could be. That is the definition of the devil. It's not always Ooga Booga, nasty, other person, place, or thing is up against you. It could just be an adversary. Sometimes the adversary is the lower self, and here it's clear because the dark side, the lower self, the unawakened self, the ignorant self, I'm gonna say it, yes I am, you know, that stuck on stupid part of you that has that mechanism, that on and on cycle that can't be broken, or a cycle that someone is unwilling to get out of. Because we do have power here on the board. Not only is the emperor here, there's a hidden king of swords here, we have a king of pentacles here, and there's, besides the king, we have a king of cups here. Besides that king of swords, that king of swords brought with them the 7 of swords. Now it's hidden, you got to do some math to find it, but frankly it is about standing up to the mind, because the mind is the devil. There's no external, I'm not seeing conflict. This is all internal conflict. And see, that 7 of swords was here. I wasn't seeing it, but that 7 of swords was here. This is the Winged Spirit deck if you want to Google it. I don't know the author, the creator of the deck. So yeah, okay, so the Ooga Boogie Boogeyman here is the mind. And the devil is saying, okay, listen, the cycle that you're in is one of believing that obstacles are real. Your fears get the best of you, and the fear is the belief system that you have is creating challenges for you. I see clearly we have everything that we need. I see clearly all is well. The path that we're on is standing in our personal power, the emperor. That means you have means, methodologies, mechanisms in order to build solid foundation, structures, systems in your life. You do have autonomy, franchise, and control for yourself. And you're on the path of making changes according to mental communication, you know, types of actions. And what you would be acting upon, or the action that will be taken according to the mind, the intellect, the communication, would be about personal power and opening up to opportunities, literally removing, expediting, moving on from conflict, confusion, being conflicted and having confusion. And it's something that you would have done for yourself. And the advice here is something is fully come full cycle, something's fully over. And it is, again, move on from something. There's a hidden six of swords here. So move on, move into calmer waters, okay? Make a scientific decision, meaning devoid of emotion, meaning the answer should be different when the facts change, not the answer will be different when your feelings change. Your feelings are because of the thoughts you've been having. And since you conflicted all up in your mind, all up in your ego, all up in your lower self, you can't think straight, okay? So what is bearing upon us in the very right now is there should be some passionate spark to move forward, to go out and experience life. Now, for some of us, it's going to be excitement. For some of us, it's going to be passion. But it is the desire, the journey to experience life, life force in the physical, to allow our spirit to bear upon the material plane of existence. And what is coming through this energy is the fact that we're in a cycle that we want to get out of. Now, I do want to say you do need to learn how to drive the chariot, the vehicle, the spiritual, the physical vehicle. And they're both. You are a spirit in human form. You are not a human. The human aspect of you is the vehicle that you're using right now. Most mother effers out there ain't gonna agree with this, and all the Bible thumpers gonna have something to say. I ain't here for that. Let me tell you, you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and the physical body is a chariot. It is the vehicle for your soul to experience and to develop and to serve the Creator's will. On whatever word for the Creator that you use, it's, yeah, we do have three kings out here on the board, so you know the Creator might actually be here. So really what I'm trying to say is that until we master our lower self, until we master our demons, which are angels that are in the lower world and no longer have capacity, autonomy, franchise, and control over their divine nature. It means the aspect of you that is beast-like or animalistic, meaning very physical, very enmeshed in the material, is leveraging or overpowering the divine aspect, which is very much higher self. You know what I mean? And listen, if you're not in the mission school, I break down the concept of creator, God, etc. Okay. So the reason we're called the beast, or the reason it's animal-like, is because when you're ruling from the lower part of yourself, your libido, your hunger, your drives, your passions, the things of you that are very physical, mundane, heavy, or magnetic in their nature, that's when we get into the aspect of the devil. You know, dog spelled backwards is God, but what they're talking about when they talk about dog is the beast, the part of you that can be domesticated, the part of you that is reactive, not proactive. And so that's where we are. And it's unfortunate to say, but I do also want to say what's driving this is our relationship to our lower self. So you can't be fully in your divine nature until you've taken a journey into your lower self. You can't be fully in your lower self either. There needs to be balance. And unfortunately, the balance is going to come through the mind, but also, unfortunately, we're over leveraging the mind. So the lower nature is winning out, at least this week around. And it's because we're not planting the proper belief so that we can manifest from a more whole self. So holy, whole, okay? Wholeness means balanced vibration, means you're able to utilize your lower nature to drive your higher self forward. The higher self needs to be ruling the lower self. The lower self is so, listen, you got to have an understanding of your lower self. I'm getting back into marathon training, personal story, right? So, you know, when you're training, sometimes you get fatigued. The physical body don't want to cooperate. You know, after a couple miles, you feel fatigued and you want to quit, all right? So those thoughts, those feelings, those sensations, that's all lower self, because my higher self knows my body is physically capable, right? Other times people, you know, they might want to procrastinate. They might want to oversleep. They might want to get too sexy. They might want to, you know, do whatever it is for whatever person it is, right? And you do need to have a relationship to your lower self, because how are you going to live as a divine being in the physical reality without leveraging the lower self? You've got to use your legs, put one foot in front of the other, and get to from point A to point B. Hello, that you, if you're using your body, if you have leverage over your body, you have leverage over your lower self. Period. Point blank. Okay, but your lower self, the physical nature, the physical sensations can't overrule your higher self, right? And then when you find that there's something alive in you that is shadow like in nature, you can't run rapid judging yourself, cursing out yourself, and disconnecting from your higher self. When shadow comes up, what you do is say, okay, shadow, I realize that you're in there. I realize there's something alive in you that needs honor or attention. Maybe you don't need to honor it. Some urges you do not need to honor. I ain't even gonna say them on camera. But if you, what you resist persists, meaning if you need to know that there's an urge there and then know if you wanna honor it or not. Okay, you can't ignore it and you can't always satisfy it. All right? But you're never going to be able to agree with it or be able to master it if you don't at least take the time to understand it. And ignoring it ain't always going to be helpful. And that's where a lot of this fear and over thought, you know, mental activity is coming from. Whenever the realization of a shadow nature comes up, we become fearful. I guarantee you there's not a lot of spirituality in fear. And I do want to say courage doesn't mean there's an absence of fear. It's the ability to act in spite of fear. There's a lot of courage in spirituality. Okay? So when you notice that the devil is there on your left shoulder, it's because everybody has a shadow nature to them. The devil is the deity that rules your shadow nature. Okay? God, Allah, Buddha, Shekinah, Jehovah, whatever, you know, the creator, in my opinion, is the deity that rules your higher nature. You gotta have both, all right? Because if you're only messing with the big G upstairs, ain't the G in the Freemason symbol I'm talking about, the grand architect of the universe named Creator. It's really more, and if you're only hanging with him, you ain't in the physical, okay? So once you come into the physical, you do have to mess with both deities. Unfortunately, all right? But it's up to you which one you're going to praise and worship. Ignorance, even if you're going to go ignorantly onto the right side of good, being with God, creator, that ignorance is going to give the devil an entryway into your life. So if you're just going to blindly, willfully follow in one direction, or blindly, willfully, Pollyanna-like, doing the right thing all the time, that's going to create an obstacle, an issue for you. Because when people do good for the sake of doing good and they don't do good because they're driven to do good, it means they lack an inherent sense of divinity. An inherent sense of divinity is inherent when you can stand in your own truth. You don't know your truth until you've looked at your own demons. That's the real issue, and that's not what the cards say, but that's what's coming through me. So, you know, we're on the journey of finding means, methodologies, mechanisms to use our autonomy, franchise, and control over our lives so that we can build proper structures, foundations, and systems in our life. But what cannot be changed is the fact that we're going to need to know what's alive in us. And we are going to need to use spiritual technology. Spiritual technology does not mean being ignorant. It means knowing that the good and the bad is out there, and you're going to have to deal with the both of them and finding strategies to win more than you lose. That's real proper spiritual practice. Because the thing that's going to be helpful to us is the fact that we're going to need to break free of a few of our vices. I know that if I've had a couple stressful days, not to take certain streets because I'm gonna go buy a donut store. That's my story. I ain't on no needle, I ain't on no drug, I ain't fucking nobody's husband, excuse my language. I know that if I break down and go to the devil's, I'm gonna end up with a donut in my mouth. You're gonna have your own thing. You know, for me, I'm very lucky that I've worked through all my shadow and all I'm left with is donuts, okay? Other people have other demons, unfortunately, okay? And 10 years ago, I did too. You gotta figure out your own little story there. All right, but that's what we cannot change. In order to find the truth, all right, we're going to need to face those shadows, Seven of Swords. We're going to need to break out, break free from those demon-like natures. Okay, and 7 is a number of spiritual perfection, but it also means spiritual power. Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay, so let me be quiet. That's what I got. Have a good week. I'll come back next week for some angel messages and, expect more videos. We're going to get back with that. Peace be with you. Take good care.